I want to quickly bring in headlines today is Rishika Barua, who just had that exclusive first conversation with the activist Taslima Nasreen, author and activist Taslima Nasreen, who also happens to be a co-petitioner in this entire case. She's a controversial personality and she's also had very, very strong views on freedom of speech, especially here in India, the crackdown by successive governments, etc. Rishika, a long fight, many people involved. No one single person can take credit, for this historic ruling that's come from the Supreme Court today. But Taslima Nasreen, definitely one of the most vocal and visible persons as far as freedom of speech is concerned. And she's someone who's actually seen the rough end of intolerance.
Absolutely, Shiv. She undoubtedly is somebody who embodies the free speech movement in every sense of the word. And when I spoke to her early this morning, she was very cautious as always, not ready to give an interview. She said, no, I don't have anything to say. You can go to my Twitter page and now I can say whatever I want over there. So she was very happy but very unwilling to come out and speak in the media, because obviously there's a sense of fear that has been instilled in her because of the past that she's had. But she's raised a couple of very important points. While she said that, this is a historic day when it comes to the free speech movement for free thinkers and for authors and for anybody who's associated with the online space. It's a historic day. She still believes that, the battle is far from over, because the online space is just one space. In that interview to me, she talked about Section 295A, which according to her is a very draconian section because it impinges the right to write about religion very freely in a country like ours. So clearly, Shiv, optimism, but definitely with a sense of caution.
Well, the fight isn't over just yet. It's only just begun. Ask any person who's been involved in the campaign to bring about this ruling and they'll tell you this is just one small step. It's a great day. It's a big start, but it's only one small step. Our phone lines are open. We want to know what you, the viewer, thinks about today's judgment and what the implications will be for internet freedom. We already have a caller. Saud is our first caller this evening, calling in from Mumbai. Saud, go ahead. What is your view on today's judgment?
Thank you very much for this call. Now, I just have a small question, that if this is a victory over freedom of speech, does that include freedom of speech towards religion? As in, can I just post anything in the same way I used to post about everything? Can I post the same thing about religion?
Well, that's a good question. We're getting several persons asking questions about that kind, as far as religious inciting, a commentary on social media. The answer is no, Saud. I can clarify for you that while Section 66A has been struck down, there are other sections under the Information Technology Act and other acts under the Indian Penal Code which can still get people into trouble for inciting violence, saying things of a religious nature with the intention to offend or to incite any kind of violence. So I'd like to clarify that for you. While 66A has been struck down, there are still other provisions within the Indian laws that allow action against people who want to indulge, especially in hate speech and inciting communal politics. Devanathan is our next caller from Pondicherry this time. Devanathan, go ahead.
I'm very happy that it has come to this level right now. But what I'm scared of is whether the government will take an alternative route, in what way it will bring back such a draconian thing. Because as you know, the UPA and the NDA both have been in favor of this section particularly.
I think that's a very good point. Devanathan, thanks for calling in. A lot of people share that view that this is a section of the information technology law that had been passed by the UPA government. It had, pretty much been endorsed by the NDA government with some caveats, but now it has been struck down by the Supreme Court. Does this mean that the government will be compelled to look for other routes to actually crack down? If not Section 66A today, it might be something else tomorrow. That's an important question that we will be putting to the petitioners and to others who've been part of this continuing campaign for freedom of expression. Ashok is our next caller, calling in from Hyderabad. Ashok, go ahead. What is your view? Okay, we've lost that line with Ashok calling in from Hyderabad. The number is on your screen. You can call that number. Tell us what you think about Section 66A. Remember, it's not direct. There are many freedom on the internet is slightly greater today with Section 66A being struck down, but there are no absolutes in this. We're going to get you much more information on your screen. We're putting out bits of information that will clarify for you what can still happen, what can no longer happen, and what will be dealt with by other sections under the Information Technology Act and otherwise. Neville Gandhi is our next caller. He's calling in from London this time. Neville, go ahead. What's your view? What do you think about the judgment?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Like, Mr. Modi promised us a lot of toilets in India, and if he didn't happen to do that and I write about it on a social networking site, am I in trouble? Like, if I slander him?
Well, slander and libel laws are actually separate, Neville. I don't have much legal experience, but I can tell you that slander and libel are handled by other laws. Abusive comments are also handled by other laws. Hate speech especially is handled by other sections. So we're going to